You're welcome to the only show that brings you happenings in the world of diplomacy and international relations, Diplomatic Affairs. The show comes off every Saturday on Pan-African Television between the hours of 4 to 5 o'clock p.m. My name is Harriet Nate, and today we have put together some interesting stories just to ensure that you are well updated when it comes to issues pertaining to diplomacy and international relations. We'll take a break. When we come back, we present our stories to you. Welcome back. The show is Diplomatic Affairs. Let me also state that we are live on our social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook, and of course you can also watch us in some 40 African countries. So wherever you find yourself, like I always say, you can catch up with us. Now, on today's episode of Diplomatic Affairs, we will take you to the Jubilee House for the commissioning of some 9 envoys who will be representing Ghana in other jurisdictions. I have the details which will come up shortly. Also, the SDGs Action Summit 2024 has been launched and it's all set and ready to take place. And Ghana First Paris Olympics and Paralympics 2024 also has been launched, and Bulgaria integrates its culture into Ghanaian society. We have all these and more coming up in a bit. First, I'm going to take you to the Jubilee House as I stated. Let's talk about the commissioning of some 9 envoys who will be representing Ghana in other countries as part of promoting relations between Ghana and its partners. Now, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has commissioned 9 new envoys to represent Ghana's interests in other countries. The envoys consist of 3 high commissioners, 5 ambassadors, and also 1 ambassador at large. President Akufo-Addo, at the swearing-in, charged the newly appointed ambassadors and high commissioners to work hard to promote and maintain Ghana's image and interests globally.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has presented credentials to 9 newly appointed diplomats, urging them to promote the image and interest of Ghana abroad. The appointees, comprising 3 high commissioners, 5 ambassadors, and 1 ambassador at large, have been entrusted with the critical task of representing Ghana in various countries and international organizations. The newly appointed envoys include Vice Admiral Seth Amoama, High Commissioner-Designate to Nigeria; Francisca Ashite Udinton, High Commissioner-Designate to South Africa; Ernest Yao Ampofo, High Commissioner-Designate to Rwanda; and Major General Nicholas Peter Ander, Ambassador-Designate to Turkey. Others include Henry Techimenson, Ambassador-Designate to Belgium and the European Union; Charity Gbedawo, Ambassador-Designate to Morocco; Abigail Na Ajoko Kwashi, Ambassador-Designate to Norway; Dr. Robert Afriye, Ambassador-Designate to Ethiopia and the African Union; and Nana Bediatio Asante, Ambassador at large. Touching on the upcoming general elections in December, the President pledged to maintain and uphold the peace in the country before, during, and after the exercise. He further intimated that any person caught in the act of causing mayhem during the elections will face the full rigors of the law, as there will be no room for vigilantism.
Swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance.
Swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Republic of Ghana as by law established.
to the Republic of Ghana as by law established.
That I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of Ghana.
That I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of Ghana.
That I will preserve,
That I will preserve,
protect, and defend
the
the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Certainly, we will be keeping an eye on these high commissioners and ambassadors who will be representing our interest in other jurisdictions to learn more about their roles and what they are doing for the people of this country. Now, let's talk about the Sustainable Development Goals Action Summit, which is happening here in the country, yes, in the capital of Ghana, and it is happening next week starting from Tuesday and also Wednesday. So it is a 2-day event. Now, the Sustainable Development Goals, which highlights the connections between the environment, social and economic aspects of sustainable development, ends in 2030, and this has ignited clarion calls around the globe for leaders to intensify efforts on getting the 17 goals on track. Ghana is organizing the SDGs Action Summit themed Transforming Today and Safeguarding the Future from July 2 to 4, 2024, which is also in line with the United Nations agenda to reactivate the goals. Special advisor to the president on SDGs, Dr. Eugene Owusu, at the press launch stated that without fast approach towards achievement of the SDGs, people in Africa will remain in extreme poverty by the year 2030. Now, I had the opportunity to sit with him and discuss further the upcoming event.
We are gathered here at a pivotal moment on our journey to achieve the SDGs, having gone past the midpoint of the 15-year time frame. Unfortunately, the slow progress on many of the goals and targets leaves the fate of millions of Africans and the fate of our planet in dire straits. At the midpoint of the SDGs implementation, our calculations, these are calculations, rough and ready calculations of this office, our calculations are that less than 4% of the SDG targets were on track to be achieved by the year 2030 by Africa. I should also add that the Pan-African institutions, UNDP, UNECA, Africa Union Commission, and the Africa Development Bank do estimate that without quicker progress towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, close to 500 million people in Africa will remain in extreme poverty by the year 2030. The challenge that Africa faces in achieving the SDGs is compounded by a plethora of man-made challenges. Climate change, as all of us do know, conflicts, the residual but consequential effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, policy failures and misgovernance, and a pear-shaped global governance architecture.
Will be development finance that is sustainable. And unless we can figure out how to bring new money to the table, if we just want to rinse and wash the existing pot, we know, even from the 2020 report, that Ghana is missing $43 billion worth of investments that are required. And that was before COVID even came along and took us further off track. And that was before some of the global crises that we see that continue to impact Ghana. So sustainable finance and a conversation about how we ensure that we have a financial system that enables developing countries, however you define them, low income, middle income, lower middle income, emerging economy, that they have the resources and the fiscal space to actually deliver on the aspirations that they have as countries. Unless we crack that nut, we'll be going nowhere.
Hello there, you're welcome to the only show that brings you happenings in the world of diplomacy and international relations, Diplomatic Affairs. My name is Harriet Nate, and today we are all about the SDGs Action Summit, and it is the press launch or the media launch of the upcoming event, which is happening in July. We will be talking to the special advisor to the president on SDGs, that is the Sustainable Development Goals, and of course the main event to learn more about what this seeks to achieve at the end of the day. Your office is very much in tune with the SDGs and objectives, lined up in ensuring that we get to where we want to get to.
SDGs are really a universal call to action to end poverty, to protect our planet, and importantly, to ensure peace and prosperity for all of mankind. The goals were decided upon as far back as 2015 by the UN General Assembly. Implementation started in 2016. The current evidence is that there has been slow progress on the goals globally, and we've done some quantitative analysis in this office which shows that when you look at Africa, at the current rate, we are on course to achieve only 4% of the targets of the SDGs, and that has a lot of implications. The Pan-African institutions, UNDP, Africa Development Bank, UN, ECA, and African Union Commission has also done some work which clearly states that if we don't step up implementation of the goals, by the year 2030, up to about 500 million Africans will be in extreme poverty. So this is the challenge that indeed we do face. Now, we also do know that progress on the SDGs, particularly on the continent, has been impacted by a number of factors, including the consequential effects of COVID-19, instability and conflicts in some parts of this continent. You also look at the pear-shaped global architecture, including the global financial architecture. A number of factors have held Africa back, also including our own policy failures and misgovernance. But the point is that we cannot despair, and we cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater. The SDGs hold tremendous opportunities for this continent to deal with the challenges that we do have. So we now have 6.5 years to end date 2030. So what are we then seeking to do? Two important things with this summit. One is to really reignite a new sense of purpose, a new commitment around implementation of the goals, because the shine has been taken off the SDGs, quite frankly. So we want to use the Action Summit to reignite, a new sense of commitment to the SDGs. But we want to go beyond that, really look at what are the bold, smart, and innovative and transformational actions that we need to undertake today to give us the chance of indeed achieving the goals. Those are the two key objectives of the summit. I should also say that we've been opportunistic somewhat, because there is a UN Summit of the Future that will happen in September this year. So we want to really leverage the summit to really feed into the conversations that will take place in New York in September. But let me conclude on this and say that the emphasis is not just on the UN and the Summit of the Future. It's really about Africa and the things that we do need to do now in terms of transformative actions to give us a chance of achieving the goals.
Doc, as part of the transformative actions that you mentioned, I would want us to talk about the domestic participation when it comes to achieving the objectives of the SDGs. I want us to look at how your office is engaging the ordinary people, especially I think the United Nations Residence Coordinator in his submissions also mentioned that you have a new you're introducing a new platform that would really see to the inclusion of the locals in ensuring that you achieve your goals. How quickly is this going to be? How soon is this going to be achieved?
I mean, we've done a lot of popularization on the SDGs since 2017. And it's not really just us. It's particularly a progressive partnership that includes the National Development Planning Commission, civil society. There are 360 civil society members on the CSO platform. There's a lot of work that has been done with local, at the subnational level in terms of embedding the SDGs into local planning processes, what we call the SDG localization. And also a lot of engagement indeed with the private sector in this country. We've engaged a number of schools in this country. We actually have a partnership with Daily Graphic, which is called the Junior Graphic Essay Competition, which we've done every year for the past 5 years, excluding 2020, which was the year of COVID, where we take the SDGs to over 30,000 students in this country. So there's a lot of work that has been done around popularization. I go back to the point that I made during the press launch, that whilst popularization is indeed important, because it helps people to own the agenda and then to drive the agenda. So yes, we will continue to do popularization like we've done today, through the media. But where the rubber hits the road now, for me, is in implementation. How do we accelerate implementation? What are the smart things that we will have to do to really accelerate implementation of the goals? And here, I will give you 3 important things that I think we have to do as a country, and indeed as a continent. One is strengthen and deepen our partnerships with the private sector. I mean, the SDGs is everybody's business, and quite frankly, government alone cannot deliver on this agenda. We need to put private sector front and center of this agenda. Why do we have to do so? We have to do so because of the smart assets that sit within the private sector. Innovation sits within the private sector. Quite frankly, best delivery mechanisms sit within the private sector, and financing sit within the private sector. So we need to deepen this partnership with the private sector to leverage all those assets and bring them to bear on implementation of the goals, help accelerate implementation indeed of the goals. The second point I will make quickly, again here, has to, in my view, do with innovation. We've said a lot about innovation, which, as the jargon goes, we say innovation is the new currency for development. And it is true. You can leverage innovation in today's world to deal with every challenge that we do face. The transformations that we've seen in a number of countries in terms of rapid transformation have been done on the back of innovation. And in today's world, I mean, if you look at artificial intelligence, for instance, and what, despite all its potential downsides, what it's likely to do in terms of transformation, certainly of this world, there's a lot that sits within the innovation space in this country and on this continent. How do we leverage all that and bring that to bear, not just on policy formulation, but importantly, in driving implementation of the SDGs at the national and also at the subnational level? And final point on this, in terms of critical things that we will have to do, is really the whole domain of innovative financing. I mean, if you look at resource quantum certainly as a country or even as a continent, and look at the magnitude of the ambition, the gap is certainly huge. We've said, our own quantitative analysis, we need about $43 billion annually as a country to be able to meet the goals for the next 6.5 years. Where is this money going to come from? This money is not going to come from governments. This money is we're going to have to be innovative in the way we mobilize resources. There's a lot of money that sits in the climate financing space, for instance. We need to better organize ourselves and indeed leverage some of those resources in terms of carbon credits, etc., and use that to drive our implementation of the goals. We need to be bold in terms of ambitions around smart investments and make sure that we channel those investments into those SDGs where we are lagging the most. So there are really practical actions that we can do today. Some of them in the form of quick wins, but others, we have to take really deliberate efforts and engage, particularly the constituencies who have the smart assets, which government can take advantage of to help drive implementation of the goals.
Aggressive acceleration of the SDGs implementation. Thank you so much for your time, Doc. We really appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure, and let me commend Diplomatic Affairs Television for the fantastic work that it is doing, bringing clearly issues around foreign policy, issues around international relations, for bringing those into our living rooms and our bedrooms.
Now, away from that, let's take you to the launch of the Ghana Fest Paris Olympics and Paralympics 2024, which was also launched right here in Accra at the Alliance Francaise. And of course, Diplomatic Affairs is a media partner, so we have been keeping an eye on the activities ahead of the main event, which is the Paris Olympics coming up in few days. Now, themed driving strategic investment opportunities through tourism, culture and sports, the Musicians Union of Ghana, Musica, in partnership with Showbiz Global Concert Company, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Embassy of France here in Ghana, and also, like I mentioned earlier, Diplomatic Affairs and other key stakeholders have launched the 2024 Ghana Fest Paris Olympics and Paralympics at the Alliance Francaise. Now, the event scheduled to take place from August 28th to September 8th, 2024, is to honor and promote Ghanaian tourism, music, arts and culture, as it will capture a variety of events that presents the very best of Ghana to the international community and also audience. Officials who graced the launch underscored the importance of elevating Ghana universally through cultural diplomacy and appealed to the public for assistance in portraying the country positively.
The theme, driving strategic investment opportunities through tourism, culture and sports, was chosen to reflect the objective of the government of Ghana to make Ghana a preferred destination of tourists all over the world. Ghana Fest Paris Olympics and Paralympics 2024 will be a vehicle to make the many audiences at the Olympic or Olympiad hunger for a taste of Ghanaian culture. Programs like the Ghana Fest Paris Olympics and Paralympics will contribute greatly in increasing tourism revenues. We will, at this juncture, urge like-minded organizations and companies to partner with us to realize these objectives.
The National Commission on Culture, we believe that as our team goes, driving strategic investment opportunities through tourism, culture, and sports. The president was talking about, yes, we have the tourism, we have culture, but sports will take us everywhere. But I'm also here to say that to build it to another level, that in all this, culture will embrace everybody. And that is what will sell us, what gives us identity as we go out there. And nuntino ye kasa edanso, ya tadi shem, ye driani diem, ye bibi biara, and no, etre ye bobre, etre ye su. I mean, we say way every Japan, way free Malaysia, na way so dear, ojina branding, or deneho, every Ghana.
Musicians have always contributed to the local and global promotion of Ghanaian culture. Indeed, Musica organizes concerts, festivals, and support award shows to promote Ghanaian music and artists, which drives tourism. And we know that we are part of tourism. When it comes to tourism in Ghana, music plays a strong hold in there. And we are even planning these days to place musicians at every tourist site, so that when tourists come to the town, wherever they go, they will see Ghanaian musicians performing there. I'd like to call on all musicians to take advantage of these training programs and workshops to be organized to improve your skills in order to perform excellently at events such as Ghana Fest, Paris Olympics, and Paralympic.
For us at the ministry, we think this is one of the activities that would further spread Ghana around the globe. You know, the objective of the ministry is to draw as many as possible tourists to Ghana. And this activity that is going to showcase the culture of Ghana out there in France, Paris, I think is one other initiative that would turn attention to our dear nation.
We strongly believe that we need to start things within Africa. So after Paris, we believe that we should start conversation, especially with the organizers, so that we will know how some African countries can also host, not necessarily at that level, but in our own small way, how we can compete amongst ourselves to showcase our culture. Because when it is within Africa too, you see diversity in culture, but as one people. So unity in diversity. So we believe that back home in African continent, we should be able to also have a similar games and all that. Yes.
Through music, you are going to give them the best of performances. And when it comes to the sports, I know my people out there are going to deliver for me and the whole Ghana. And when it comes to culture, when we get there, the Kente will be moving on, the Bakatari will be moving on, you know, everything about Ghana will be there, you know. The Dondo will be, I'll make sure me myself, I take Dondo to the place for the people to see how it sounds. So the people should be ready for over there. We are coming with full force. And when it comes to performance, Raskuku, I got it. I'm going to make sure so I'll be performing on the 31st August, but I know after the sports, after every activity there, you know, the players and other people will be there. Whenever they need me, I'll be there to entertain them so that the next day they'll get the energy and then deliver for Ghana.
Music is everywhere, and anything that you want to do, you have to add music. And so that's the essence of, and you see, for instance, this Olympics, we want to foster friendship, exchange ideas, cultures, sports, everything. So you cannot do this without music. And so it is very, 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 very important that we should add music and, of course, musicians to whatever program you're going to do.
Wobi kura sebe ne maami wu anu oche shirt no ache shoe woni mamamre kane no maami wu asam na ato wo fra kuntunkunim sebe ye ni twifo ne ye fra kuntunkunim enso ne wo be hu twi ni kura no ache shirt no ache shoe tiam wo be che chalo wata hu ne se wo maami e wo ani abre afese ne ma bi asesa ya wade se de esi ware kura asesa se de esi ye ayie kura And a year to no niska wabu. Can you soon a year a basanoa? Ya say, ya didn't watch it, I bet ye buada, a dear buadanoa, young Freddy and no cransable, so net dear. Oh, mammy and our papa will not own his car, let us say, a samato. And now for some qualano and the woman, a couple of fruit school. We might just foundation for your Chiana more baby. Sabi Wokabucha, Chinese ni, Alatani, Indian, one in a mare kayo chrome cassa. And so Sabi Yanni 4 years and if any Ghana for Yanni a macabrofo, every crab of no macan cran yet. Sabi Woko Joma, a my Bucrani and Merco Jum, Nan a cambrofo, Nan Miko Jum, or Babaco, or Catchan and Basse. It says Obaka say, have you come? Have you went? Wow, Sabi Wafuna, which I wouldn't. I didn't think I would force so and my back cambrofo. And Tiani dear, yes, some. Mommy and Uncle Kromacasa. Now, Mamma ni baby, Assasa.
Well, we all know about the Olympics, so we are looking forward to using the platform to put Ghana out there and also attract investors, especially when it comes to economic diplomacy. So we are all looking forward to this event, and we would very much appreciate the support of Corporate Ghana or the private business space, so they can also help us to ensure that the program is successful. Now, let's talk about the significance of culture. Culture diplomacy or cultural diplomacy is getting a lot of attention when it comes to fostering relations between countries at the bilateral and multilateral levels. It is why Bulgaria has strategically decided to incorporate or integrate its culture into the Ghanaian society. Now, Bulgaria and Ghana have over the years deepened ties at the bilateral level for their mutual benefits, leveraging on the existing and deeply satisfying relationship. Bulgaria has officially commissioned the Bulgarian Cultural Center here in Accra. The Cultural Center, which consists of restaurant Cyril, will offer a taste of Bulgaria, the Balkans in Ghana. The center will also be a prominent host for the Bulgarians in Ghana and to over 1,000 Ghanaians who studied in Bulgaria in the past and students who are currently studying in Bulgaria. The center will also conduct weekly Bulgarian classes, regular Bulgarian events, and a place to promote businesses and tourism for Ghanaians and Bulgarians. Ambassador of the Bulgaria accredited to Ghana, His Excellency Yanko Yadanov, in his welcome address, acknowledged the good ties between the two countries and reiterated his country's commitment in elevating existing ties.
Anything else to say?
so much for this building to happen. And also I'm very proud that this happens almost 3 years since my accreditation to Ghana. Since that moment, in November 2021, we've done a lot, I think, on a positive track. We've signed 5 agreements. One very important on a political consultation has been signed by Ghana by the Honorable Deputy Foreign Minister. We've signed some agreements in the trade and business, and we've signed an agreement for media cooperation. I think that this Bulgarian Cultural Center actually is the natural outcome of all these efforts. Because I think that when in Ghana you know more about Bulgaria, you will trade more with Bulgaria, you will do more business with Bulgaria, you will go and see our universities there, and you will choose Bulgaria as a partner in nature. I'm sure that this Bulgarian Cultural Center will represent my country at its best. It's about the food, about the culture, about the music, and about our language, because Nico is going to organize a language courses in Bulgaria. So I'm very happy that this initiative that has been conceived 3 years ago is now coming to an existence, and I really want to appreciate and acknowledge the greatest contribution to this, which is Mr. Nico van Stauduinen's work for Bulgaria-Ghana's cooperation.
Too soon. This is where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Diplomatic Affairs. We thank you so much for your time, and we are very grateful, and we look forward to having you same time next week. My name is Harriet Nati. Enjoy your weekend.
Truly African.